defeat last year, and oppositions have taken 14 years, 13 years, 18 years to come back. We're going to do this in 4 years. So there's still a long way to go, but what we are seeing is that many people are interested in what the Conservatives have to say because they can see that they're getting poorer under Labour.
Now, your response to the Chancellor's budget speech got some widely covered, lots of people very much praising the way that you took the budget down and the criticism that you had of Rachel Reeves. Do you think that is cutting through? Nigel Farage has published a piece today in The Telegraph saying, don't trust the Tories. Do you think he's worried?
I think he is worried. On the same day when he's trying to recruit as many former Conservatives as possible, he's saying don't trust the Tories. It can't be both things at the same time. I think it's a very confused message, but I'm not really interested in what he's saying.
Right, so whilst you were enjoying your weekend, planning your meals and pretending to understand what's happening in the Premier League, the Conservative Party was imploding faster than a cheap bouncy castle at a children's birthday party. 2 MPs have jumped ship to reform UK in 4 days, and Kemi Badenoch has had enough. She's called an emergency meeting, written a letter that reads like a political last will and testament, and basically told her remaining MPs to get in line or get out. And honestly, the drama is absolutely chef's kiss. Quick favour, if this political chaos is your cup of tea, smash that subscribe button and hit the notifications bell. Over 94% of you haven't yet. It's completely free, takes 2 seconds, and keeps us bringing you the juiciest Westminster gossip. Cheers if you did. Right, back to the carnage. So, let's set the scene, shall we? Kemi Badenoch, leader of His Majesty's opposition, which at this rate might need renaming to His Majesty's rapidly shrinking opposition, has summoned all 120 Conservative MPs to a meeting on Wednesday. Not a casual catch-up over tea and biscuits, not a friendly chat about strategy, an emergency meeting called through Bob Blackman, chairman of the 1922 committee, which, for those who don't speak Westminster, is basically the Tory MPs' union that can make or break party leaders. When the 1922 committee starts summoning people to emergency meetings, someone's either about to get sacked or about to do some serious sacking themselves. This isn't just standard political theatre either. This is full-blown crisis management, because in the space of 4 days, Robert Jenrick and Andrew Rosendale have both defected to Reform UK. 2 MPs might not sound like much when you've got 120, but in politics, it's not about the numbers, it's about the narrative. And the narrative right now is that the Conservative Party is hemorrhaging members to Nigel Farage's outfit faster than you can say breaking point poster. It's like watching passengers abandon a ship, except the ship is the oldest political party in the world, and the lifeboats are being captained by a bloke who spends half his time in a pub. Now, Kemi Badenoch is not the sort of politician who does subtle. Never has been, probably never will be, and thank goodness for that, because her letter to Conservative MPs is an absolute masterclass in political threat-making disguised as inspirational leadership. She's basically said, and I'm paraphrasing with all the subtext included, differences of opinion are fine, but if you're plotting to jump ship or briefing against me to journalists, you can sod off right now and we'll all be better for it. The exact wording is worth savouring. She said differences of opinion are part of a healthy party, but there is a clear line between disagreement and trying to damage the party from within. Those who cannot be part of a Conservative Party that is changing in this way are free to make other choices. Translation: if you don't like where this is going, there's the door, don't let it hit you on the way out. She then added that those who want to undermine or destroy the party will be dealt with firmly and fairly, which is political speak for I'm watching you, I know who you are, and if you step out of line, you're toast. But here's where it gets properly spicy, because Badenoch didn't just threaten the MPs themselves. Oh no, she went after their staff too. She acknowledged that the vast majority of staff working for Conservative MPs are hard-working, professional and loyal, but then dropped this absolute bomb. It is clear, however, that a small number of individuals were actively briefing against the party while presenting themselves as Conservative sources. Imagine that. You're an MP, thinking you're being all clever and discreet, maybe having quiet chats with journalists about how terrible everything is, and then your boss's boss sends a letter essentially saying, "We know it's your staff leaking, and you need to sort them out." She explicitly asked every MP to satisfy themselves that their staff are acting in line with our strategy and values, and that undermining the party from within, whether by MPs or by staff, is unacceptable. That's not just throwing down the gauntlet, that's throwing down the gauntlet, setting it on fire, and daring people to pick it up. It's leadership, certainly, but it's also the political equivalent of checking everyone's phones at a party because someone's been texting your ex. Badenoch described the defections as a shock to many of you, which is probably the understatement of the year, and said she'd spoken to people over the last few days who expressed anger and disbelief. Well, yes, I imagine they are angry and disbelieving, because watching your colleagues publicly declare that another party better represents their values is basically the political equivalent of your spouse leaving you for someone who lives in a caravan. It's not just the leaving, it's the where they've gone that really stings. But then Badenoch pivoted to arguably the most important part of her letter, the bit that'll define whether she survives this crisis or becomes a footnote in Conservative history. She tackled head-on the question that's dominating Westminster gossip. Is the Tory party about to lurch to the centre ground to stop the bleeding? And her answer was an emphatic, unambiguous, absolutely not. She said, "Some of our colleagues opining on social media seem to have taken these defections as a signal that the party is shifting, or should, ideologically away from the right. That is a serious misreading of the situation." This is fascinating because she's essentially telling the remaining Tories that they're not going to chase Reform UK voters by becoming Reform UK light. She's doubling down on being the party of the right and telling everyone who thinks otherwise that they've fundamentally misunderstood what's happening. She said these defections are not about policy differences or ideology, they are about character. Absolutely savage, that. She's not saying Jenrick and Rosendale left because they disagreed on tax policy or immigration strategy. She's saying they left because they lack the character to stick it out, which is about as brutal as political insults get without actually swearing. This is about the future direction of the Conservative Party and its relationship with Reform UK. Badenoch is drawing a very clear line in the sand. She's saying the Conservatives are the party of solutions, whilst Reform are the party of problems. That's a direct shot across the bow at Farage's operation. She's essentially calling them professional complainers who don't actually have any answers. Whether that's fair or not is up for debate, but it's certainly a bold strategy. And then there's the policy side of things. Badenoch was keen to emphasize that she's standing for conservative values, conservative principles, which include things like controlling borders, leaving the European Convention on Human Rights, getting people off benefits, and making work pay. She even said she doesn't think Jenrick actually disagrees with any of those policies. So if he doesn't disagree on policy, why is he allegedly jumping ship? That's the million-pound question. Is it about power, ambition, a personality clash, or does he genuinely believe Reform UK is better positioned to implement these ideas? We might get answers to those questions soon enough, or we might just get more delicious political theatre. Now, Badenoch also revealed something rather touching in her interview. She admitted she's feeling a bit sad about having to let Jenrick go. She said she never likes letting people go, but if they're behaving inappropriately, it has to happen for the good of everyone else. That's actually quite revealing. It shows that despite all the fire and brimstone, despite the savage put-downs and the political calculation, there's still a human being making difficult decisions. Leading a political party isn't just about policies and strategies. It's about managing people, dealing with egos, and sometimes having to be the bad guy even when it's uncomfortable. But she quickly recovered from that moment of vulnerability to remind everyone that she has strong beliefs and strong convictions, and that she doesn't rush to make decisions. When she does something, you can trust it's for the right reasons, because she's done her homework and has the evidence. That's a deliberate message to both her party and the public. She's saying, I'm not trigger-happy, I'm not impulsive, but when I act, I mean it. It's about establishing authority and credibility in a role where both are constantly being questioned. And speaking of establishing authority, Badenoch wasted no time in announcing Jenric's replacement. Step forward, Nick Timothy, a name some of you might recognize as one of Theresa May's former chiefs of staff. Badenoch absolutely sang his praises, highlighting how he's been drawing attention to what she calls the scandal at Westminster. She even called out the Home Secretary for being too weak to sack the Chief Constable there. So she's not just defending her own decision to sack Jenric, she's going on the offensive, calling out what she sees as weakness elsewhere. That's strategic political combat, and it's rather impressive to watch. The Conservative Party right now is in a fascinating position. They're trying to rebuild after a catastrophic election defeat. They're dealing with Reform UK nipping at their heels, trying to win over right-leaning voters, and they're attempting to present a united front whilst clearly having some serious internal tensions. Badenoch sacking Jenric is a statement. It's her saying, I'm in charge, this is my party, and if you're not on board with the direction we're going, the door is right there. Whether that strengthens the party or creates more division remains to be seen, but it's certainly a bold move. And let's not forget the elephant in the room, or should I say the Nigel in Reform UK. Farage must be absolutely loving this chaos. Every time the Conservatives have internal drama, it plays right into his hands. He can position Reform UK as the alternative for disillusioned Tories, the party that's not tearing itself apart over personality conflicts. Although, to be fair, Badenoch did land a pretty solid blow when she called the Conservatives a team with lots of talent, whilst labelling Reform a one-man band. That's going to sting a bit. The whole situation raises interesting questions about loyalty in politics. When is it acceptable to switch parties? Is it ever justified, or is it always seen as betrayal? In theory, if your principles genuinely align better with another party, shouldn't you have the integrity to make that move?